Ed Mylett is one of the fastest growing business personalities who has also ranked in the top 50 wealthiest under 50 by Forbes. He went from being born into a middle-class family, becoming broke and having to shower at a public pool, to being worth over $400 million.
Need motivation?
Watch the top 10 with Believe Nation.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like 9 and 9. For my top 10, top 10, 9 and 9. This one's for my top 10.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because chances are you are the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more, and you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Ed Mylett, and my take on his top 10 rules for success. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Reward yourself.
I have a show where I interview kind of top achievers, you know, athletes, entertainers, business people. And when I started the show, I thought it's gonna be fascinating to find out what they all have in common. Is it hard work, brilliance, charisma? And frankly, it's a skosh of unhappiness, because achievers, even people like yourself, and this is people that are out there like that too, should consider this. We have this thing where we're really never living up to what we think we're capable of. And that's a good thing, because it pulls us to get better. But it can also be a formula for misery if you never just decide. You know, a lot of achievers think, well, if I enjoy this moment right now, I'm gonna lose my drive. I'm gonna lose my ambition. So they cheat themselves for all of the joy, all of the juice that comes from winning. And I found if you give yourself that dopamine hit when you achieve something, you allow yourself to enjoy it, your brain wants to do it again and again and again. But if you rob yourself of it, that's when burnout starts to happen, because you're not giving yourself any of the rewards for your hard work.
Rule number 2, live to serve.
I was an ego-driven person when I was young. And by the way, I still fight it. I think all successful people are constantly towing that line of ego and strength, right? So I still do. Anybody around my wife would definitely tell you, trust me, he's not always winning that battle. However, a great gift happened for me. Again, my dad's drinking. My dad got sober that year, and he was at an AA meeting. And I was unemployed, living at home after college with my parents. Same bedroom, same teddy bear, same posters. Losing. And my dad comes home from AA meeting and goes, I got you a job. 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, you show up at McKinley Home for Boys. I'm like, what is it? He goes, I have no effing clue. You get your ass down there and start making some money.
Yeah.
I go down there at 6 a.m. I'm like, hey, I'm here. I didn't know what it was. What it ended up being was an orphanage. It's a group home, but a huge one. Campus, like 50 different cottages, all boys of all ages. All the boys were wards of the court. Family died, incarcerated, or had molested them.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm here for the job. They're like, what job? I'm like, I don't know. Just I'm here. They're like, well, come back when you know what it is. And I get to the door and I'm like, the guy's name was Tim that was going to hire me. They're like, we don't know Tim. And I start to leave and I go, well, I think he's an alcoholic because he was at an AA meeting with my dad. So they go, oh, drunk Tim, cottage 8.
Drunk Tim.
Drunk Tim. And I walk into cottage 8 and my life changed. Seriously, man. It was all little 8 to 10-year-old boys, and they stopped when I walked in. And they had these eyes. All kids who come from a little dysfunction in their life have different eyes.
Yeah.
They want to be loved. They want to be believed in. They want someone to coach them and lift them up and show them how to be better. And they stopped. And I instantly became their dad and their big brother. I'd take them trick-or-treating. I was there when they opened their Christmas presents. I was there on their birthday. And it changed my life, because I was like, holy shit, I love helping people. I love this. Like, I like it more than hitting a home run. I like it more than money. And so when I was there, I kind of changed.
Yeah.
And then while I worked there, the financial company that I ended up having my first success in came along. And I honestly can tell you, man, I went into business with this idea that I'm going to love people, believe in people, and coach them. And I'm still doing it to this day. I did not go into business to make big money. I went into business to serve people. I went into business to help people. And so that was the flipped switch for me, was I got out of me and I got into them.
Yeah.
And when you're into you, it's like you're constantly thinking all the time about what they're thinking about you, what you need to say, all this stuff. Even when you're on TV or camera, sometimes I just serve people, just contribute. Influence in life isn't even that people even need to believe what you're saying. This is what's crazy. People think, I got to get people to believe me. And when you get to trying to get people to believe you, you come across like a beggar. You come across desperate. Influence is not people believe me. Influence is that people believe you believe what you're saying. They don't have to believe what you're saying. They have to believe you believe what you're saying. And so I switched that. When I went into business, I'm like, I'm not going to always try to get people to believe everything I say. It's too much work. I can't do it. It makes me nervous. I'm going to get people to believe I believe it. And then, you know what? That's tremendous influence. It says, I want to help you, but I don't need you.
Yeah.
And so that was a key switch for me. And then I just started going nuts into personal development, reading books, trying to find mentors, get anybody I could to go to lunch with, pick their brain, ask them questions, just to change me. So that's where it flipped for me.
Rule number 3, pursue fulfillment.
I'm such a massive believer in certainty and you get what you obsess about that I found myself lately, and just as candid, like lately, knowing I need to even be more specific and more clear about not only what I want, but why I want it. And so I'm at a stage right now where I'm building my recipe and my formula. By the way, I executed 1,000 miles an hour whether I'm ready, but at the same time, I'm executing and navigating right now exactly specifically what I want for the next 10 years of my life and why I want it. Because at the end of it, people say all the time, well, material things, they don't make you happy. You ever hear somebody say that to you? Yeah, and that's just completely a lie. I mean, have you ever bought a nice dress, ladies? It made you happy when you bought it, right? Or guys, you got a nice brand new car. If that made you happy, it doesn't fulfill you, but it can certainly make you happy, right? And so for me, I know that those things can make me happy, but I've had a lot of happy. I want to be completely fulfilled. And so I'm navigating in my mind, what exactly is it the next 10 years of my life that's going to fulfill me? Not just make me happy, because our jets are amazing, great cars are amazing, but they're less amazing over time. What's never not amazing is serving people, making a difference, contributing. What's never ends for me, what never I get tired of is making a difference in someone else's life, of thinking my life has meaning to another person. And so I'm navigating in my mind right now, and I'm struggling a little bit with exactly how do I reach the most people the best way, and why do I want to do it?
Rule number 4, know what you are willing to risk.
The coins flip on each other all the time, don't they? Another form of distraction is just doubt, and doubt comes from the suffer. It comes from a loss. It comes from fear. It comes from the sacrifice. And so just remember this. You're supposed to suffer and sacrifice. So let me ask you a question. What are you willing to risk in order to make your dream come true? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. You're going to take a risk. Maybe it's financial. Maybe it's a risk of time. Maybe it's a risk at your job. Maybe it's a risk of looking bad. Maybe it's a risk of failing, of falling on your face, of going broke, of going through pain, of going through anxiety. Maybe it's even a risk in a relationship that's just going to be difficult while you do this. What are you willing to risk in order to win? And you have to accept that, because remember what I'm going to tell you. The price you will pay for not making your dream come true is far greater than the one that you will pay to make it come true. Want me to say it again? The price you will pay, the suffering you will go through to make your dream come true is incredibly small, infinitely smaller than the price you will pay if you never do. You'll pay that one the rest of your life. And so ask yourself what you're willing to risk. What's the price you're willing to pay? I love the book by my brother Evan Carmichael, Built to Serve, you guys. This is the kind of thing you get in this book. Most people wake up and drive to a job they hate. Think about your 5 closest friends. Are they happy? Do they live their lives with purpose? Do you? We put on a fake front for what we want people to see and think about us, but the reality is most people aren't happy. We're lost. We settle. You can't be happy if you don't know your purpose. And then he goes on to explain how to do that. You guys should get this book, Built to Serve, by my dear friend Evan Carmichael.
Rule number 5, figure out what your gifts are.
When you start to figure out what some of your real gifts are, because you were all born with them. We were all born with natural gifts. It could be your intellect, your beauty, your humor, your intensity, your work ethic, your faith, your problem-solving skills, whatever it is. You're all born with a few. Your nurturing skills. When you start to figure out, these are kind of 2 or 3 gifts that I do have. And then you figure out in your life how to apply those gifts in the service of other people, you're a fulfilled human being. There'll probably be a lot of money come from it too. But those are the 2 things people say, how do I become more fulfilled? If you look at your heroes in life, the vast people, I don't know what my gifts are. Then who are some of your heroes? And when you start to look at your heroes in your life, you will find that even though their personality may be different than yours, what you really connect with them is they share similar gifts of yours, even though you don't think they do. So even a great coach you've had, whatever it might be, that they just cared about you deeply, or they were so detail-oriented. One of my heroes is Martin Luther King. I did my thesis on him in college. Well, what do I have in common with him, right? African-American guy, civil rights movement, preacher. But it seemed to me that the things I connected with his gift to communicate. I connected with his gift to serve people and move people and contribute to people. And those gifts are things that you kind of intuitively know are buried deep in you when you look at your heroes, and you'll use them differently in your own life. And so, one, find your gifts. Two, use them in the service of other people. And if you don't know what your gifts are, start to study your heroes and what are the things you actually really admire about them. You might even admire about them just their integrity. And that be one of your gifts, or their faith, or their strength, or their ability to overcome adversity, their toughness, right? Those are things that you know to be true about you. That's why you see them in them. That's why you acknowledge them so deeply.
Rule number 6, sell a big enough dream.
You recruiting the lifeblood of every single business, and the first thing I would just say is that you got to sell a big enough dream that the dreams of everybody you're ever going to have involved in your organization can fit inside the one you're selling. So most of these entrepreneurs out there don't sell it big enough, don't talk big enough, don't think big enough, and aren't intending to do big enough. And so your message is so small, nobody can fit inside it. They got these people you're talking to, they have ambitions and dreams and hopes too. You got to sell a big enough one that theirs can fit inside the one you're selling. And here's the thing, man, it's got to be repetitious. You have to say it over and over and over. You can't get tired of saying, here's an old adage that I'll give to you. Leaders are always trying to say new things, right, to old people. Okay, don't do that. Say old things to new people. Keep getting new people. Keep saying the same thing over and over again and get new people all the time, right? That's a huge factor. And be repetitious with it.
Rule number 7, be great at closing.
We often talk and hear speeches in WFG, myself included, TFA, about identity and belief and leadership building and how we think and being positive and hard work and all these intangible things. But at the end of the day, it's the tangible things, it's the real things that make businesses grow or die. In our business, it's the ability to get somebody to produce a result, or what I call closing. Closing's a nice way of saying, or a harsh way of saying, I guess, getting people to do things that are in their best interest, persuading people to say yes. And in our business, if you can't persuade people to say yes, you're going to lose. In our business, it's yes to the opportunity and yes to our financial products. And at the end of the day, what our business comes down to is, can you close? Can you get a check? Can you get people to say yes to you, to buy a product from you or to buy our business from you? And then from there, it's your proficiency level, your ability to transfer that skill of closing people to other people. And if you can't do it, you're going to lose. It's the number 1 skill, it's the number 2 skill, it's the number 5 skill, it's the number 10 skill in our business. I don't care what list you have, it's by far the most important thing, and it's the most important thing multiplied by 10 times other things you could come up with. The ability to get people to say yes, the ability to give a presentation, at the end of it they say yes, the ability to overcome objections when someone says the basic things in our business. I want to think about it. It's too much money. I don't want to be a salesperson. I read something on the internet. I want to talk to my wife. Is this network marketing? Whatever the questions are, the objections you get, your ability to overcome them and move to yes. If you can't do that, you're going to lose here. If you can't train people to do that, you're going to lose here. If your meetings don't train people to do that, people will stop coming to those meetings. We spend way too much time. My hallucination is you and your office spend way too much time on motivating, inspiring speeches instead of teaching. Instead of actually getting people to do our craft, to become professionals, get yourself to do it. You think about it, if you drew a line in the sand, you said, these are all the people in our organization's history that have gotten a check or have gotten to SMD. And then on the other side are all the people who didn't get to SMD or have never gotten a check. What do all the people who've gotten a check, or let's just say got to SMD, which is just a basic level in our company of proficiency, have gotten to that level, what do they all have in common? Well, not a lot. Some of them are smart, some of them aren't so smart. Some of them are Caucasian, some of them are Asian, black, Hispanic, you name it. Some of them are tall, some of them are short. Some of them are men, some of them are women. Some of them are immigrants, some were born in our country. They don't have a whole lot in common. Some are married, some are single, some are old, some are young. What do they have in common? They can all close. They can all get a yes, or at least at one time in their career, they developed the ability to give a presentation. At the end of it, somebody said yes. They knew the words. They knew how to say. They knew what to say when someone says, well, give me some time. Let me think about it. Or is this too much money? Or, I read this. Or is this network marketing? Or, the basic stuff, right? They're not mysteries. There's only about 8 or 10 things people say to us to object. There aren't 800. There's 8 or 10 basic ones. And when you can overcome those things and give a presentation, you win. We know they can do this because we wouldn't have sent them a check without their ability to do it. I'm positive they could do it at one point because we sent them a check. all these other people over here who didn't make it, didn't get a check, or didn't get to S&D, what all them in common? Some are smart, some aren't so smart. Some are black, some are white, some are Asian, some are Hispanic. You get the point. Some are tall, some are short. They got all that in common too. What do they all for sure have in common? They can't close. They can't get a check. That's why we never sent them one. That's why they quit. That's why people quit on you. Be very clear. People quit on you, or you will quit based on your ability or inability to close. When you can close, you're going to do our business. And when you can close and then you can teach people how to persuade people, which is closing, you're really going to build something significant.
Rule number 8, start from nothing, stop for nothing.
Start from nothing, stop for nothing. What does that mean?
Well, I didn't come from a whole lot, but one of the things I've seen in my life, and this is one of the things I admire, just why I asked you off camera, what are you doing now? Right? You're doing this and all these other things you have going in your life. So I started from really nothing in my life, but I'm not going to stop for anything. And what I find that most people do, and the reason I won't stop is because there's this incongruency between that identity thing I said earlier, what I think I'm capable of and where I am. I've never felt like, actually I know, I've not really accomplished a whole lot yet. I've not really arrived. And the thing that I think is the saddest in life is when people don't work on their identity and all of a sudden their results do catch what they think they're worth. That's a formula for death because you're only growing or dying in life. Once you start to exceed or catch what you think you're capable of, you stop growing and you stop. And that's when things get real dangerous in life. It's like an athlete that retires, it doesn't find the next thing. All of a sudden, these guys are running around the gym every day. They got nothing to do, idle time, and they start self-destructing. It's every career. It's not just athletes. And so what that means for me is my motto is I want to always be improving, always be growing. I always want to feel like I haven't quite made it, that there's what I'm capable of and where I am. That incongruency is this magnet that keeps pulling me forward, not to stop. And I don't want to stop anymore. Like, I'm loving doing this right here, right?
Yeah.
I could be sitting on the beach. So could you. We could both be just doing nothing, which is what people think they would do when they get to that point. And some people do, and they're miserable. They might enjoy it for a week or 2 or 6 months, but the fact of the matter is you can't live that way. I want to always be not stopping and growing. That's what that means.
Rule number 9, build the right environment.
You have to create a culture and a mission and a cause for your business, okay? If you don't have that, people will do a ton for money. That's the number one driver, but people also do a lot for the mission, the cause, especially millennials. Ironically, a lot of young people now want to be a part of something that's cause and mission oriented. And then what he said is a fact. You better build a winner. People want to play for the Lakers, man. People want to play for the New York Yankees. They want to play for the Patriots or the Cowboys. They want to play for Facebook or Google, okay? You build a winner, people will come. The way you build that winner is by selling a big enough dream. And then here's the other thing. You can't BS people. You can't just talk. You got to back it up with your own effort, your own example. People know what you're saying is valid when you're congruent. Like, we're going to do these big things. They see you crushing it, means it's true. Okay? Then you create that environment. When I went to your place, I walked in for their sales meeting and I already knew he sold it big, 10X, right? I already knew that. But then we walked in, immediately there's like this environment. See, you recruit to an environment, right? The environment is what gets people, your message and your environment. I walked in there and I told him, I said, this is the best environment I've ever seen in a sales company.
And his organization is
unreal.
50 times bigger than mine.
And mine, you can't see it because it's spotted all over the place. This, you walk in there, I was like, my God, the energy, the enthusiasm, the reverence they had for Elena when she spoke that day, and for Grant, the enthusiasm level and energy, and how committed the people were in that space to what they were trying to accomplish at any given time. Massive accountability. Massive accountability. I went, this environment's bananas. Now, what you'll do is you'll still pour through people in a bad environment, but when you do get a thoroughbred, when you do get a rainmaker, when you do get a stud, they get into your environment, you can max them out. If you don't have that environment, man, you get a thoroughbred, they leave.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't stay if you don't have that environment. That's why the environment's so huge.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is believe you deserve it.
So I was just visiting about this topic with my kids, and I thought you and I ought to visit about it too, because it applies so deeply to business. And that's the concept of belief and how that impacts our performance in everything in our lives. And I want you to think about belief for a second. See, if you're a good person, and that's really where this applies, is to good people, but good people will only let themselves, in almost any endeavor, any activity, good people only take from it that which they believe they deserve. Now, bad person, they'll always take more than they deserve because that's what people without character do. But good people, and I hope you consider yourself a good person, they'll only take from something that they think they deserve. Let me give you an example. let's say there was a pizza here, we were going to serve, there's 12 people here, there's 12 slices of pizza. Well, you know how you'd react, and any good person. They'd either wait for everybody else to get their piece, or they only take one slice because they know that the other people there only would have one left for them. Bad person, they just take any time they want to, wouldn't they? So a good person will only take from any scenario that which they think they deserve. And that's a good thing. It's also a bad thing. Because ultimately what it comes down to in business is really this. When it comes to your business life, or becoming affluent, saving money, getting financially independent, you'll only take from your life and from your business that which you think you deserve. And so really, almost more important than strategy is an internal identity. It's an internal belief that says, I deserve this. I deserve to be happy. I deserve to have this dream come true. I deserve to be financially independent. I deserve to be in the top 10 in my business. I deserve to be number one. Or my team deserves to. My family deserves to. And once you believe you deserve something, then you've at least opened the door to walk into the room of success. But prior to believing you deserve it, you can do all the work, all the calls, all the mechanics that the other people do. But if you don't believe you deserve it, you're never going to even walk into the room and sit at the table to have a chance to get your piece. The chair at the table, the space at the table is only reserved for those who believe they deserve to be sitting there.
Now I've got a really special bonus clip that I think you're going to enjoy. But before that, it's time for the question of the day. I want to know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video, and what are you going to do to take action on it this week? When you write down what day, what time, and what place you're going to take action on something, you have a 91% chance of following through versus just 35% if you got motivated but never wrote down a plan. And when you share your plan and have public accountability, it raises your chances of following through even higher. So that's what I want to do today for you guys. You watch this video. What was your single biggest takeaway, and what is your plan to take action on it this week? Let me know. Put it down in the comments below.
I want you to know something. If you're going to accomplish anything great in your life, anything, you've got to have a big dream. It starts with that. It starts with a big vision. Napoleon Hill talks about that so much in Think and Grow Rich, about the need to begin with the end in mind. So many of us get into business. I don't know why you got into the business you're in, particularly if you're in my business, but I hope it wasn't just to win awards or to get accolades or to be number one at something, but that you're beginning with the end in mind. What is the end going to look like when you're finished? Is it going to be financial independence? Is it going to be a particular home you want, enough money saved you can take care of your children and your family? What is your big vision? What's your big dream? What's the compelling reason you're going to do this? Because in anything great that you're going to do, there's huge adversity, tremendous, which is why most people never accomplish anything. When adversity hits, they can't handle it. Or when it hits the second or third or 300th time, they eventually acquiesce. They eventually give in, because what's happening to them is bigger and more prominent than where they're going and what the end would look like in order to put up with whatever this situation is they're going through. And so the question to you directly is, how clear are you about exactly what the end's going to look like? How clear are you about your vision and your dream? And how big is it? It's got to be huge.
If you want to change your life in 30 days for free, check the link right here below me. Or if you want more rules from Ed Mylett, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy them. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.